Welcome to Kindness Stories, where we bring you powerful tales that shine a light on courage, compassion, and the human spirit. If you believe kindness always wins in the end, then you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon, because what you're about to hear will not only move you, it might just change how you see the world. The hallways of Cedar Heights High School always echoed with a special kind of energy. For some, it was a place of friendships and growth. For others, like Lila Hart, it was a battlefield she quietly endured every single day. Lila was the kind of girl you might not notice right away. She wore soft pastels, always kept her eyes down, and spoke so softly that sometimes you miss her voice if you weren't paying attention. She wasn't unpopular because she wasn't kind or smart. On the contrary, she was brilliant in literature, had the voice of an angel in choir, and always lent a hand when someone needed it. But in a world where loud voices and sharp tongues ruled the social scene, Lila's gentleness made her a target. The worst of the torment came from a trio known around school as the Cobra Clique. Jason, Troy, and Lexi. Jason and Troy were jocks with inflated egos and a reputation for humiliating anyone who didn't fall into their social circle. Lexi was their self-proclaimed queen, and her jealousy of any girl who shone in any way she didn't approve of was infamous. The three of them had set their sights on Lila weeks before the story unfolded, but it wasn't until a school event changed everything. It was spring, and that meant the spring fling dance was fast approaching. Posters were plastered across every locker, couples were nervously proposing in the courtyard, and dresses and tuxedos were already being planned. Lila didn't expect to go. She never had, but in the back of her mind, she imagined maybe, just maybe, someone would notice her for who she was. Little did she know, someone already had. Aaron Garcia, a quiet boy who shared our class with Lila, had admired her from afar. He wasn't loud or flashy, and he didn't hang out with the popular crowd, but he had noticed how Lila stayed late to help their teacher clean up, how she helped a girl pick up her books after someone knocked them over, how she smiled at everyone, even those who never smiled back. He thought she was remarkable, and so after weeks of summoning his courage, he decided to ask her to the dance. He approached her after school near the lockers. Hey, Lila, he said, awkwardly brushing his hair behind his ear. She looked up, surprised. Hardly anyone called her by name. Hi, she said, her voice like a soft breeze. I was wondering, if you're not already going to the dance, would you maybe want to go with me? Her cheeks flushed pink. She was caught completely off guard. I'd like that, she said after a long pause. Yes. It was one of the few moments Lila allowed herself to feel excited. For the first time in forever, someone had seen her. She spent the next few days floating through school, barely noticing the glares being sent her way. Jason and Troy, however, noticed everything. You see, asking Lila to the dance had been a bet for them. They joked about it behind her back in the locker room. Jason had planned to humiliate the quiet girl by fake asking her out in front of everyone just to laugh and pull the rug from under her. But when they found out Aaron beat them to it, something inside them burned with cruel jealousy. One morning, as Lila walked into school, wearing a powder blue blouse and carrying a book she'd been reading at lunch, she was stopped in the hallway by Jason. Hey, Lila, he said with a fake smile, blocking her path. She paused, nervous. Hi, she said cautiously. I heard you said yes to that art freak, he said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Didn't think shy girls like you got asked out. Lila kept walking, trying to ignore him, but then Troy stepped in front of her to Jason asked you a question, he said menacingly. I don't have to answer you, Lila replied, quietly, trying to push past. Jason narrowed his eyes. Well, how about this then? He growled, and without warning, he reached out and yanked the front of her shirt. There was a loud rip, followed by a collective gasp from the students nearby. Lila stood frozen, holding the torn fabric against her chest, her eyes wide in horror. The boys laughed. Phones came out. Whispers erupted like wildfire. Some laughed. Some just stood there, but no one helped. Tears welled up in her eyes as she turned and ran. She didn't stop running until she reached the girls' restroom. She locked herself in the last stall and sobbed silently, the shame washing over her like a tidal wave. That should have been the end of it. Asterisk, they expected her to stay silent, to cry at home and maybe skip the dance. They wanted her broken. Asterisk, but they didn't know that something in Lila snapped that day. Asterisk, she didn't go home right away. She waited until her tears stopped. Then she pulled out her phone, and with shaking hands, she recorded a voice memo, not a cry for help, a declaration. Asterisk, I've spent years staying quiet. And for what? So people like them could think I'm weak. I'm not weak. I'm done being scared. I'm going to that dance. And if they try anything again, I won't run this time. Asterisk, the next day, she returned to school not in shame, but with purpose. She wore the same blouse, sewn carefully with stitches, like battle scars worn with pride. When Jason and Troy passed her in the hall, ready to mock her again, she looked them dead in the eyes. Asterisk, I'm not afraid of you, she said, loud enough for everyone around to hear. You think hurting someone makes you strong. It doesn't. It just makes you a coward. Asterisk, that moment was caught on video. Someone posted it online. Within hours, it went viral among students. Asterisk, the quiet girl had found her voice. Asterisk, but Lila wasn't done. Asterisk, she went to the principal and told them everything, not just about the ripped shirt, but the months of taunting, the silent abuse, the fear she carried every day. And she wasn't the only one. Other students began coming forward too, emboldened by her bravery. Stories poured out about Jason, about Troy, and even Lexi. Asterisk, an emergency school meeting was called. Parents were invited, and in the middle of it all, Lila stood before hundreds in the auditorium and told her story. Asterisk, her voice trembled at first, but she didn't stop. Asterisk, I used to think staying quiet kept me safe, but silence is what bullies feed on. They think if no one speaks up, they can keep doing what they do. Well, I'm speaking now, not just for me, but for everyone you've ever made feel small. Asterisk, the room was silent. Teachers looked shocked. Some students cried. Even parents, who had once brushed off their own children's complaints, now sat with red faces and clenched fists. Asterisk, Jason and Troy were suspended immediately. Investigations were launched. Lexi was stripped of her student council position after screenshots of her enabling behavior surfaced. Asterisk, but that wasn't the victory Lila wanted most. Asterisk, the spring fling arrived, and she went. Asterisk, she wore a lavender dress that shimmered like moonlight. Her hair flowed down her back, and when she walked into the gymnasium, everyone turned. Asterisk, not out of mockery, but out of admiration. Asterisk, Aaron met her near the entrance, his eyes wide with awe. Asterisk, you look incredible, he whispered. Asterisk, so do you, she said with a smile. Asterisk, they danced. They laughed, and when the final song played, everyone formed a circle around them, not to mock, but to cheer. Lila wasn't invisible anymore. She was unforgettable. Asterisk, from that day forward, everything changed. Not because one girl stood up to bullies, but because she inspired others to do the same. Asterisk, the school implemented new anti-bullying measures. A peer support group was formed. Lila helped lead it. The whispers in the hallways turned into conversations about kindness, about strength, about what it really means to be brave. Asterisk, because bravery doesn't always look like a superhero in a cape. Asterisk, sometimes it's a shy girl in a lavender dress, walking back into the place where she was once broken in, holding her head high. Asterisk, so if you're watching this and you've ever felt like Lila, remember this. Asterisk, your voice matters. Asterisk, your pain is real. Asterisk, and your courage, whether it's loud or quiet, has the power to change everything. Asterisk, thank you for watching Kindness Stories. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more real and powerful stories that prove one truth over and over again: kindness is stronger than cruelty. Asterisk, until next time, stay kind, stay brave, and never forget you are not alone. Asterisk.